Everybody's all mad with the Republicans in Raleigh. An opinion writer in Charlotte summed it up like this, saying they stooped even lower in their shameless new power grab. You see, this week, Republicans used a bill for hurricane relief to pass some unrelated laws that strip power from newly elected Democrats like the governor and attorney general. A lot of the news covered this, painted kind of a sinister picture. They had headlines that said that the bill was fast-tracked with changes that were drafted in secret. Many reporters explaining that just 12 pages of the 132-page bill are even related to hurricane recovery, and that most of the bill was designed to just hamstring the newly elected governor and attorney general. For example, the governor used to be the person to appoint the state board of elections, but Republicans just changed that. Now, the newly elected state auditor will do that, who is coincidentally a Republican. Governor Cooper criticized the whole thing, saying the bill was prioritizing power grabs in Raleigh. And he's exactly right. It is a power grab. But tonight, I'd like to talk about the one thing that no one seems to be talking about: how they did it. Let's go in depth. Whoa, hey, first of all, that photographer needs to stop following me around through downtown. How do you like the new in-depth open? Not bad, right? All right, second of all, let's take a look at this bill being described as the Hurricane Helene Relief Bill, or by its more catchy title, the act to make modifications to and provide additional appropriations for disaster recovery, to make technical, clarifying, and other modifications to the current Operations Appropriations Act of 2023, and to make various changes to the law. Let's talk about what it does for relief. It does earmark $227 million for hurricane relief. That makes a grand total now of $1.1 billion from the state headed out west, with plans to send more down the line. But again, that's not why people were protesting on Wednesday evening. Those people were saying, hey, look, we just elected these Democrats, and Republican lawmakers are taking away some of the responsibilities that we elected them to do. The protesters and some Democratic lawmakers accuse Republicans of thwarting democracy in this way, except that's kind of how our democracy works. Nothing that was done is illegal. It's set up this way. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Republicans, you see, have a super majority in both chambers until the new folks are sworn in January. And that means they can do anything that they want. They don't need Democrats for anything. Even if the governor vetoes something, they can override it. So, considering that, who cares if they put hurricane relief and legislative changes in the same bill? Democrats can hate it or love it or be indifferent. It doesn't matter. Republicans could have broken that 132-page bill into 132 separate bills, and still all 132 would have passed without a single Democrat. They don't need secret meetings or last-minute changes. They're just playing the game. And let's talk about the game. Leading up to this recent election, we did a lot of coverage on election security. We interviewed a member of an international organization that aims to protect free and fair elections around the world. They look at the things that are working and what's not working. And when I asked him the biggest concerns that he has about the U.S. elections, he said this:
there should be a rethinking of redistricting. This has a much bigger impact of whose votes counts to what degree than anything related to physical security.
Redistricting, gerrymandering, not mail-in ballots or magic markers or voting machines or even hanging chads. He thinks the biggest threat to our elections is how we redistrict. To refresh your memory here, every 10 years, the U.S. does a census, and they determine where everybody lives. Then they give that data over to the lawmakers. Lawmakers use it to redraw the maps, splitting the state into different sections, determining who represents those people in those sections in North Carolina and in D.C. And in our state, the party that is in charge draws those maps, and they always do it in their favor. They're not really supposed to. They're supposed to make it fair, to represent the state equally, but they just don't. I mean, for example, Democrat Wiley Nickel represented the 13th district, which Republicans changed from this to this. They drew in so many Republican voters, he didn't even try to run for re-election. The same thing happened with AG-elect Jeff Jackson. They redrew his district near Charlotte in a way that made it impossible for him to win his seat again, so he ran for AG instead. And in case you're wondering, both of those districts did go to Republicans. Simply, the game can be rigged. Now, the Supreme Court took this up in 2019, but they found that partisan gerrymandering is beyond the reach of the federal courts. Our courts in North Carolina have flip-flopped a little bit on this issue, depending on the judges, but the most recent ruling by a Republican majority said our Constitution expressly assigns the redistricting authority to the General Assembly, subject to explicit limitations in the text. Those limitations do not address partisan gerrymandering. So, we could change the Constitution, right? We could change the game, force the players to play by different rules. North Carolina did just vote on a constitutional amendment, right? Why not try another one? Well, the problem is the lawmakers put those amendments on the ballot. The very people using the rules to their advantage get to decide if we change them. Again, I'm not blaming Republicans here. Democrats, they take these advantages too. Just look at states like Maryland or Oregon. There are lots of examples. I just want you to understand the game and how it's played, and why a swing state described as purple can also have a deeply red Republican supermajority calling the shots. Let me know what you think. Do you have more questions about how the system works, something you don't quite understand, or is there something I missed on this topic? Let me know. Send me an email, dan@wrl.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.